Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. Today we are continuing my solo original Dungeons & Dragons campaign using Chainmail, and this is going to be another Chainmail battle. We keep doing these battles. We're trying to wrap up this part of the campaign, and the Rangers have set up an encampment, effectively, and they're waiting for an orc army led by a Balrog to show up. Let's see how this goes. Okay, today is January the 26th. Well, I'm still, I think I said last time that I was trying to finish up. I try to finish up each of these kind of campaign ideas in a year and then kind of start with next season, if you will. So, but it is the March because and I'm pretty sure it's March anyways. I'm kind of, counting the videos I have. It's, it's definitely into the year, but today is actually, when I'm filming, is January 26th. Now, the Rangers, if you've missed the previous one, are kind of in a bit of an issue. They promised a patriarch that they would clear out a dungeon, effectively. They got there was orcs and bandits there. They had to leave. While they were gone, the orcs and bandits had a battle. Some of the orcs fled. The characters got there and fought with the bandits and were successful. They captured a bunch of these bandits. And now these bandits are actually higher level than the player characters. They're like the leaders of the bandits. However, where we left it last time, the bandits said they were not going to help the player characters against the returning orc army, because basically those orcs that the bandits fought, 70 of them fled to another lair where there is orcs and a Balrog. So we could probably, if you saw the other one, there's a Balrog over there. Those guys had marched back, and we've calculated out that on January the 17th, the orc army arrives, and so did one of my player characters who went off on a separate mission. You can watch the last episode of the Rangers to see that. So here's where we're at. 9 days have gone by. So there's a lot of reasons why, right, the battle didn't start immediately. So I think I'm going to work with an oracle here just to start. I'm going to take this here. This is from Tales of Argosa. And of course, I just saw, it's January. People are starting to get their actual Tales of Argosa stuff, and the dice are white and cool. This is like a prototype. So I'm still going to use this because I don't have mine here. I'm going to roll this. So basically we have 6 sides, obviously. There's a sun, there's a skull, or there's nothing, but equal chance of everything. So first I'm going to roll just to see, is the delay good, bad, or neutral for the PCs? Good. Okay. What would be the situation where the PCs that would be good for the PCs? Could be the orcs were exhausted, but if that was the case, I feel like the PCs would have taken advantage of that. The main reason why the PCs don't just wipe out the orcs when they show up is because of this Balrog. So what is it that's good for them that's about the Balrog? Perhaps the PCs saw the Balrog, but then on the orcs side, the Balrog had to leave and either is just returning now or has not returned yet. So let's start with number 1. Is the situation that the reason why the PCs didn't just attack the orcs or the orcs didn't attack the PCs was because the Balrog was not there? I'm going to say that's very likely, and we're going to use Mythic Deck for this. So very likely means we draw 3 cards. If any of them are yes, then that's the answer. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Just a regular yes. So that's the reason. The Balrog wasn't there, so the orcs have not attacked yet. So here's the situation. Let's make another check. And I think we're just going to go 50-50 on this. Have the PCs just got fed up and they're going to attack? And I say that because I'm saying the Balrog's not back yet. So 50-50, yes or no, let's see. Yes, okay. The Balrog has not returned. So right now there's just a small orc army and no Balrog. So, that could be a little bit interesting. Let's figure out why the Balrog hasn't returned yet. So I'm going to use this also from Tales of Argosa. And let's pull a couple of cards here and see why this Balrog has not returned yet. Now, there's a couple other things in play. Besides these bandits, there was a patriarch that actually asked the PCs to do this, to basically shut this place down. I felt like, as I was thinking about this, over the course of the last couple of weeks, I was thinking to myself that perhaps the patriarch might come back and join this battle. And, because it kind of works thematically, and also because the PCs might not be able to beat a Balrog by themselves. So, but before we do that, let's just see what's going on with the Balrog. So I'm shuffling these guys up. The way this deck works is we just pull 2 cards, and then we're going to kind of interpret what we get. Okay, so we've got Alliance Engaging, Guild Unison, Shadow Lurking, Hidden Ominous. Okay, so that's interesting. That could mean any number of things. My first thought is this is the Balrog, right? The Shadow Lurking, Hidden Ominous. Perhaps the Patriarch is putting together a team to come help. That's the Alliance Engaging, Guild Unison, and they have been, they're being spied on by the Balrog. That seems pretty good. I like that idea. Let's see if that's the idea. I'm going to say there's very likely, because I like that idea. So again, 3 cards of any yeses, then that's what's happening. Otherwise, we'll come up with another answer. Oh, man. Yes, okay. So now, here's the other question. Since it's good for the PCs, meaning the Balrog's not back yet, are these 2 forces engaging somewhere else? Am I going to have to do an off-site battle with these guys? Let's just say 50-50. Is there a battle going on somewhere else? No. Okay, so that means that the Patriarch is coming back, the Balrog's following. So will the Balrog get there before the Patriarch? Let's just make that 50-50. No. Okay. They're going to arrive first, followed by them. So, you know, there's already a fairly large army here, and I don't want to make it kind of off balance, but I don't think a Patriarch would show up with nobody. So your average cleric, when we look at OD&D, if we went to like a cleric's castle, let's say, they're going to have, let's see what we got here. In addition to those men and monsters accompanied by the castle, there'll be 30 to 180 men at arms. Okay, so basically I'm going to roll 3, 6 times 10, and that's how many people the Patriarch has with them currently, and we'll also roll to see if they have any specials. Okay, so the Patriarch is bringing along, these are going to be, let's see, it says, I'll just make them men at arms. They're going to be footmen. So 9, 10, 11, so the Patriarch is bringing 11. This is like the Battle of the 5 Armies over here. They're times 10. They're bringing 110 a foot. And let's see, for a Patriarch, they could have specials. We're going to roll a d4 to see what they have. Three. Is that a 3? 3, yep. Ents. Okay, there's like a little 10. So a d10 Ents. Well, this is going to be interesting. This is, by the way, a d10. It just is labeled, it's each one you labeled twice. 5 Ents. Okay. No wonder why they're taking a long time to get back. All right, so we know that the Patriarch is going to arrive before the demon, but we don't know how much before the demon. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that out as we go with rolls each turn of the battle until either the battle ends because the PCs or the goblins win, or the Patriarch arrives. And then once the Patriarch arrives, the Balrog will arrive in X number of turns after, probably like a D6 or something. Okay, so let's put this stuff away and let's see what happens. Okay, using the Solo Wargamers guide like we've done in the past, I'm going to set up some terrain. So basically what we do is we put cards kind of in these different quadrants. I'm not going to go out quite as far this time because my camera lens is not as wide as I'd hope for this kind of thing. So I'm going to keep the combat a little more centered. And then what we do is, once we throw the cards down, we flip them over. Now, basically, if we look at this, so it's right here in the guide. We're going to flip these over and we're going to look. Any card that is, consult the following table for the meaning of each card if it's black. Otherwise, the terrain is grass. Okay, so we're going to flip these over, and if they are red, we'll just remove them. Okay. Now, there are a few types of terrain that I'm just not going to use. Like, I think farms is one of them. Oh, wow, okay. We got a lot of terrain this time. So let's take a quick look and see what we've got. We have 2 aces. We have 2 aces, those are hills. We've got 2 as well, which is also a hill. So we got 3 hills. Do I have enough hills? This is basically what I have. So if I don't have enough hills, I definitely do not have enough hills. I only have 1 hill. Oh, I have 2 hills, okay. So hill, I'm just going to do them in the order that I put them down. So I guess that one over there would also be a hill. Yeah, I think I just have 2. I'm going to have to get a little more terrain. Okay. We've got 4, which is heavy woods. 5 is heavy woods. 7 is light woods. So light woods is this. I think I only have 1 heavy woods. Yep, so again, I'm going to do them in order. 4. So, and then Jack is a farm, which I'm not using. So I have 2 pieces left. I'm either going to do this rough terrain or I'm going to do water. For that, I will just, I'm going to cut the deck in half. If it's 1 through 5 or 1 through, we'll just say 1 through 6, then we'll use water. If it's higher than that, we'll use 6. Okay, so it's water. Cool. All right, let me get this all set up. All right, well, since the orcs are basically encamped here and we're going to attack them, I'm going to put them down first. So, let's see. I mean, they're a group of warrior orcs that have traveled here, so they're not dumb. So I think they would put themselves in a position that's defensible, which actually would probably be somewhere around here because it's going to be hard. You can't move heavy troops through forest, heavy forest. The mountains are going to slow people down tremendously, and the water over here is impassable as well. So I think I'm going to set them up over here. So for orcs, all right. So we've got a whole bunch of orcs. There's basically 160 orcs, so 16 units. Now I'm going to say the majority of them are going to be at this encampment, and of course, because we're attacking them, we're going to attack during the day. That makes the most sense, right? So we're going to kind of line these guys up here, but I think they wouldn't be fools, and they would, even during the day, they would have a sentry. So I think I'm going to put a small group of sentries on the top of this hill. We'll say 30. That sounds like a lot. That's 30, but they're, actually, I guess I would just put one group, 10 men up there. And the rest are going to be down here, kind of setting up a defense. Now, I did get some questions before about how come sometimes when I'm running stuff, like some of the monsters don't move or whatever. Well, I mean, that could be any number of reasons. I don't go back and look every time somebody points out something unless they give me a time, an exact timestamp. But in Chainmail, there's basically exhaustion mechanic, right? Which means that you can only move so much, and movement can actually be bad on some level if you are trying to maintain yourself at full strength. So sometimes I'll stop a unit so they can kind of charge up. Other times I just think strategically that maybe they would stay where they are because of, something might come the other way. And also you have to consider that because I'm playing this I'm putting these guys these are going to be like reserve troops. Because I'm playing this out as kind of a war game as well, a role-playing game as well as a war game, I'm also trying to think about, realistically, if, let's say there's an attack here, would everybody just charge up there? I mean, if you're playing a war game, you would know that because you see all the pieces on the table, but these guys don't have that information. So I try to consider that when I'm doing this kind of thing. So I think what we're going to do is, that's our basic setup. Now the Balrog is going to come in eventually, as is this Patriarch, which we'll deal with when the time comes. I'm going to use these wood blocks for the ends. So they'll come in. I'll probably just roll to see where they come in. If they come in the middle of a fight. For our forces of law, we basically have 200 horse. So again, each one of these figures equals 10. So now I have these knights here, but I didn't have enough. So I also have these in the same scale. I also have cowboys. So we're going to use cowboys as well. So we'll say these are like 2 different units. I'm going to separate them out. They are both medium horse, but, one group is the cowboys. The other one is the knights. So here's the question. And here's where we're going to want to do some dice rolling, I think. Basically, we need to determine... I'm short one cowboy. Okay, I'll go. We need to determine how we want to do this. Now, I think on horseback, we're going to want to come from this direction. That makes the most sense. But also, we have a large enough unit, and we're going against a ground unit. Now, of course, they don't know the Balrog is not here. So, I'm actually going to pull this stuff off. So it very well might be that they want to be more cautious, but at the same time, 200 horses moving is not going to be very stealthy. So I think the best bet for my guys, the forces of law, as it would be, I think we're going to actually do a two-pronged attack. We're going to go from here, in this corner, and also over there. And we're going to kind of charge in at the orcs and try to take them out from two different directions. The PCs, on the other hand, are going to actually do a little bit of a different mission. They are actually going to come up here and try to take out this sentry so that there's no warning. That's kind of our plan. And I think, I put it away, but I think the simplest way to do this is we're just going to use the Mythic deck. Now, I've used this a bunch of times before, and I can take it back out. Basically, when you're using the Mythic deck, there's when you're about to do something like we're doing right now, you set an expected scene. And that expected scene for me is going to be that our PCs are high-level PCs against basically orcs. We have a sleep spell prepared, which will be used in this process. And the expected scene is that we're going to very easily be able to come up here and remove these orcs from play so that we can get surprise, ideally, with our horses. So is that the expected scene? Do we get up here and remove it? The chaos factor is 5 because that's where it always starts. I'm going to check the second. Scene setup. 1 through 8 except expected. Okay, so we're going to start this scenario with this orc sentry at the top being wiped out by the player characters. That also means the player characters they probably would have sent one person, a magic user, invisibly to just walk up there and do it. So I'm going to say the player characters are not going to enter until next turn because they're going to enter from over here. So we'll deal with them when that time comes. The main body of the PCs, though, are going to come, the PC's army are going to come this way. So I'm going to set that up right now. Move these guys. Okay, so we're going to start off here with turn 1. Again, I'm going to remove this one orc as they have been neutralized by the PCs. Now, if the Orcs sentry had been successful, I would have given them the first move automatically. But since they weren't, I'm going to basically roll initiative. I mean, these guys are in line of sight as soon as they set up over there. So it's not like the Orcs can't see them. These guys are hidden, but they're line of sight. So I'm going to roll 2d6. The black is the Orcs. The white is the PCs. Group. Okay, we get to go first, and we will, in fact, go first. I'm going to attempt... I'm going to attempt to charge against these guys. So now, we need to look at the charge range of a medium horse, and then we need to see if we can actually charge. Medium horse's charge is 24. Okay. Okay, we will make contact at 14. So, when medium horse charge... or any horse's charge, really, a unit, they've got to make a morale check to see if they retreat. Okay. They are considered heavy foot. They are being charged by a medium horse. They've got to beat an 8. So 8 or better, or they're going to break. 9. They hold the line. Okay. So... my horses charge into them. Now, I've also, again, to kind of cover some of the comments people might make, I've also had some people comment about sizing. Now, it so happens, because I was using them for other stuff, I've mounted these orcs and stuff on slightly smaller bases. These are half-inch bases. So, basically, this isn't lining up exactly correct, but I'm not that worried about it. I'll give them a little bit of advantage. Why not? Because I'm going to count all the figures, right? So these guys have charged forward. And now they must take 2, because they charged, markers of, fatigue, as it would be. I just used those. Okay, so 2 fatigue markers because they have charge. Now, we don't resolve the melee yet because we got the rest of the movement to do. These guys are going to actually, if they can, they're going to move up, and they're going to turn, and they're going to fire with their, well, they're going to attempt to fire their bows at the end of the, I don't think they have enough movement to do a split move and fire because they're not facing the right direction. So they're just going to set themselves up. Now, that means they're going to get return missile fire, but, you know, we're going to do our best. So basically, they're going to move up as far as they can. Well, yeah, and then turn. Now, a turn takes half of your movement normally, but horses only get half of a half. So they basically get a quarter of their movement will be cost on the turn. So if we look at the regular movement of a medium horse, not charge movement, is 18. So 1/4 of that, which is, I'm just going to say 4, it's like 4.5, I guess. So 4.5 is going to be used in the turn. So that means they can only move 13 up to 13.5. Now, what I really want to be able to do is get this guy to the edge, and I can. So if I look at that, I think you can't really see it, but I'm behind the last guy at 13.5. So if I go like this, the back guy will be there. So that means I can move all my guys and turn them. Now, because they've moved more than half their movement, they will have to roll to be able to get a missile fire. In addition to that, right now, these guys can get pass-through fire because they're orcs, which means they have missile weapons. So this may or may not have been a good idea. I think we're kind of hoping. The initial plan, I'm kind of, you know, I had this in my head. Maybe I should have said it up front. Maybe I'll do that from now on if I can. They're not changing their plan, if that makes sense, because this was their plan. They were hoping these guys were going to break and it was going to be a big cluster here, but that did not happen. Okay, so these guys can do pass-through missile because it's passing through, you know, where they're shooting. So, I mean, it would have happened as they crossed. Let me just check the range here. 4.5. That should be easily made by orcs. Let's look at the orcs' range for their missile fire. Their range is 15, so they can easily make that. So they are shooting at medium horse. All right, so again, each of these is 10, so there's a whole bunch of orcs there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but we only count figures. So it's 6 figures, and they're shooting at half armor shield, which is medium. So they're going to roll a decent, well, it doesn't matter. No matter what, they automatically will take out 2 of these guys. So that was kind of a bad move on the move of these guys. Okay. And the orcs might still get to fire again. These guys have moved. Now, because I took the pass-through fire, they're not going to move. But these guys are going to move up and get in line with them. And I don't think they're going to move more than half their move. So actually, they could come into that combat. Does that make sense? So there's 2 things I could do. I can move them up here so I can have more missile fire at the end of the turn, which might be beneficial. Actually, I will look at the rules. That would bring them up to 9. So 9, they would take out 3 automatically. Or I can move them to here and perhaps, you know, I don't think there's enough movement for them. Well, there won't be enough movement for them to get to the sides of them. Yeah, I'm going to do this. There's plenty of movement to do this. The furthest somebody would have to move is 4, which isn't even half their movement, so they can still fire at the end of the turn. I mean, these 2 guys would have went. Actually, 2 ranks can fire, so they actually could have just stayed behind them. I'll just do that. All right. They moved. The guys in the back. Just to simplify my thing, I'm just going to give them all 1. Okay. These guys aren't going to move. They have no reason to move because they just did pass through, and they can't move because they're engaged. So that is basically all the moves. Now, the PCs aren't going to come in again until the end of this turn. I'll have them come in at the very end. Like, I'll have them appear on the board for next turn. So now we go into actual missile fire. These guys moved up. So because they moved less than 6 inches, or less than half their movement, they can shoot during missile phase automatically. These guys had to roll to see if they could shoot. They failed, so they could not shoot. Now, these guys rolled to shoot. They got a 4, so they take out 1 casualty. Now we're going to leave it there for now, and let's do the melee. So the melee is heavy horse. No, sorry, medium horse versus heavy foot. 2 dice per. Okay, and we've got 4 of them. So I'm basically just going to do 4 dice, but I'm going to roll twice. But they get 1 extra die, so I'll remember to do that because they charged. So 5s and 6s are kills. Nothing. No, 1. 1 kill. One extra die. 1 kill. So just 2. Oops. That looks pulling them forward. Okay. 2 down. Okay. All melees are simultaneous, so all of these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, will all get to attack. Heavy foot versus medium horse, 1 die per man, 5. Nope, looking at the wrong one. Heavy foot versus medium horse, 1 die per 3. So they get to roll 2 dice. 6s are kills. Nothing. Okay. So now we do the first we check here. They lost 1/3 of their people, right? So that is their heavy foot. Let's just check to see if they have to make a morale check for that. Now, again, I think we talked about this before. Some people say when you hit that number. Some people say when you go over that number. For this time, I think we'll say when we hit the number. So they lost 1/3. They need to make a morale check. 7 or better, or this entire group breaks. They make it. Okay. Now we have to do post-melee morale. So the way this works is we go here. I'm going to try to keep this as basic as possible. So I know some people have been confused by this. I probably should have a piece of paper, but let's see if I can do it in my head. Probably not. Grab a scrap piece of paper. You know, it's like school. You got to show your work. Okay. There's nothing there to knock over. Actually, I just knocked that guy over, but he's alive. Okay. So we look at this, and the first step of this is the side with the fewer casualties determines the positive difference between their losses. So they lost 0. They lost 2. So that's 2 for the PC's group. Okay. The side with the greater number of surviving troops, which were involved in the melee. So again, some people have interpreted that different ways. I interpret involved in the melee versus like all the troops. So they have 4 left. They have 10. So they get I'm sorry. The first thing, this 2 needs to be multiplied by d6. So it's 2. This next number is just the difference, which is 6. Okay. Then we multiply by the troops. So heavy horses are worth 8 apiece. There's 10, so that's 80. So that gives us 88. Now, I'm going to deal with this in a second, but that's 88. Now on the orc side, okay, they didn't get any of the other stuff. So they are heavy foot, which are worth 5 apiece. There's 4 of them. That's 20. And then because there are less than 20 figures on each side, we now multiply both these numbers by 2. So, I mean, you can do it a couple different ways. I do the difference first. So the difference is 68. I multiply that by 2, which is 136. We look at this. They surrender. Now, typically, then it says various sides may continue to charge if applicable. So I could continue to charge, leaving the proper ratio of prisoners guards. So remember, I'm in the middle of a charge. So I could continue to charge. Effectively, I know it's kind of like going back in time, but I could continue my charge and actually smash into these guys, which is what I actually want to do. So we're going to leave 1. We have to leave 1 person per 5. There's only 4 there. So I'm going to leave 1 person here, and the rest are going to move forward and crash into here. So I'm just going to take a second to do that. So these guys are dead. These guys are prisoners. I'm just going to put them off to the side. Actually, let's do something here. These are mercenary troops and the PCs aren't with them. I think there's a good chance that they might just kill the orcs. And if they do that, I'm just going to say we stop right here. So let's actually roll a die on that. I'm going to do the Matt Jackson Oracle here. So if one of the white dice are higher, the answer is yes. If the black die is higher, it's no. Do these troops just kill those surrendering orcs? Yes, they do. Okay, these orcs are eliminated, and we're just going to stop these guys here. Okay, they participated in a melee, so they take one more here. So now, and again, that's why I kind of wanted to roll a die, because I didn't want to meta, because I knew it was about to happen here. Now we come back to this, and all of these guys can shoot now, right? And again, there's 9 of them, which means they automatically take 3 casualties. So that means that we basically have lost enough troops to make a morale check. No, we had already passed it the first time. If we lose one more, we'll have to make it, because right now we've lost 60%, and we need to lose 67% to make a check, to fail rather. So these guys are good for now. There was no melee there, and we're good. Okay, that ends that turn. If you've been enjoying these actual plays, please do take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that good YouTube stuff. I appreciate it. Check the description below for a link to my t-shirts, and also a link to my Patreon, my Discord. So many links down there. Check them out. I'll talk to you soon.